What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the 2017 album by JJ Demon. Basically, this album is called Spirit Cooking, and it came out in late December of 2017, basically almost the winter of 2018. But the thing about JJ Demon is just the fact that it's kind of been patchy with the albums I've liked by him. Like, I didn't really enjoy too much Funeral Disco, although I think I'd probably like that album more now. But I did like Live Backwards. I did like Limbo. Kind of felt back and forth with Limbo, but then I kind of also the brief album that he did with like Captain Midnight was pretty good also. So there's a number of JJ Demon projects I've reviewed, but by far out of all the ones I've reviewed, this is the fifth JJ Demon album I reviewed, and this is his best one. This is definitely a very sheerly excellent project that just even right down to the album cover just looks like a demonic piece of work, and it's just an awesome kind of classic from JJ Demon. It's kind of the fact that back in 2010, JJ Demon was kind of more emo rap and more alternative stuff like Dot Dot Curve and kind of like Dropping a Pop Locket and some of those type folks. But this kind of sound, he basically embraces trap music and it works pretty damn well. Like there's certain folks, like I would say like Eminem and Dr. Dre and certain folks like that, Hops and some of those type folks didn't quite amalgamate quite that well with trap music. But JJ Demon took to it like a fish to water. I just feel like this is definitely a pretty extreme kind of concept as far as getting this one here. Just the sheer quality of this. It's a brief album, but it really works in an excellent kind of form of exuberance, and it just has like this nasty kind of gnarled feel that just has a lot of excellence about it. I just would have to say, you can tell it's going to get a rave score, but I just would have to say the unfortunate thing about this album is just the fact that it's so minimal and so low key. I don't really know what the singles were from this project. JJ Demon's kind of a tough one to figure out that sort of information about, but Spotify at least says that this album came out in late 2017. I'd have to say, just based upon that it does. I'm just based upon the fact that there's not a ton of information on this album. I'm just going to go ahead and recommend like the 9 songs out of 11 I recommend. So you can tell that this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. But I just would have to say, basically, it'd be easier to say the only 2 songs I don't recommend, which the only 2 songs I don't recommend would just be Laugh Last and then Blunderbuss, which to talk about those songs real quick, basically Laugh Last has kind of had a more peaceful and kind of sedate type beat that I just didn't think really fit the album. I mean, it was decent enough, but for some reason it just didn't match with the rest of the album. It's just kind of like a peacekeeping type song compared to the rest of the album's kind of manicness that I kind of felt like would have been okay, but maybe it's just one that takes more time to get used to. I mean, the fact that I'm going to give this album a 10 out of 10 doesn't really bother that. It's not too much of a bother if I do like this song more later because this album's already getting like a 10 out of 10. But that one was kind of one I was almost on the fence enough, but not quite enough to say it's an almost song. But it just kind of has like a peaceful kind of sedate type beat. And then Blunderbuss just kind of has a more kind of manic kind of beat. It's very similar to like Panic Button. Blunderbuss is kind of similar to Panic Button and Punch a Nazi in the Face. It's just a worse version of those 2 type songs. I want to say there's like another one on here also, like maybe English Lit or Death Race that's kind of like that as well, Blunderbuss, but this is kind of a worse version. It's trying to be like a manic type trap number that usually some of those trap beats that you kind of hear that just kind of has a little bit more imperative sounding towards it, but it just didn't quite work as well. So those are the only 2 ones. The other 9 songs on here I really enjoyed, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about some of these. One of the absolute best beats on here is Born Dead. This is one of the album's best beats. It's very shrill and complete. Very shrill and a complete haunting dirge of a song, and it just has a very classic approach and just overall feel of it. This is basically this one of JJ Demon's best songs. I feel like this is up there with like his vibrating phone song type song from Funeral Disco. This is absolutely one of JJ Demon's best songs. It's really kind of knocked it out of the park. Just a complete haunting and just masterwork, kind of 3-6 Mafia and kind of hops in and those type demonic type folks kind of feel about it. Just an overall excellent one. Pretty much should have had a music video towards it. I just think that just it even had like a good sample from some show or something like that or movie from like, so I don't know what that was from, but there's just not enough information to really know. But it just is a very overall nice one. Another one that's pretty close to that one is Crowley. This is another one that has a pretty sheer and just overall haunting type dirge of a beat. Crowley is definitely a good, great way to kick off the album. Crowley is kind of a leery, creeping autumn romp of a song. It has a crisp, demonic type feel about it, and JJ Demon handles these hype trap type bops very well. So this is just, I feel like both Crowley and Born Dead are just some sheer ones that just really upped like JJ Demon's voraciousness as far as that's kind of concerned. It puts him in the running for making classic albums. Not to say that his previous stuff was bad. I mean, really, I need to listen to Funeral Disco more, but this is actually like, I would damn near say pretty much like not just a classic trap album, but a classic rap album from the 2010s. This is classic 2010s rap where this is just has some gnarled, excellent kind of productions, but kind of more of like a smoking song, one that's not quite as trap oriented as Yellow Nautica. This is a submerged kind of introspective smoking type cut, I would say. Yeah, it's a smoking type cut. I would say it's lyrical It's a lyrical drowsy bop, and it's just vintage JJ Demon. This is something that sounds like vintage JJ Demon from the past, as far as that's kind of concerned. It's really drowsy sounding. And it's pretty lyrical. I like the thing about getting this particular album is JJ Demon cares about the lyrics. So all these trap beats, like when most folks typically like when folks kind of typically complain that trap doesn't have like the lyricism or something like that, JJ Demon is definitely someone that you want to see do trap because he's lyrical and he is on good production. So this is an excellently produced album. This one really kind of feels like a submerged, kind of floaty, drowsy kind of beat in Yellow Nautica, but it's just a nice one to kind of have for some smoking and that type of stuff. So it's a good one. A real nice one on here is Punch a Nazi in the Face. Real nice one on here is Punch a Nazi in the Face. This is a boppish kind of trap hopper, I would say. It's a vanilla trap gem, and it has a good thump and composition about it. This one just feels like vanilla trap in so many ways. It's kind of like the romp of this particular one. Basically sounds like a standard trap song that you would get from a trap artist. That's just kind of his entry and just kind of a more hop and bop kind of one as far as that kind of is concerned. It's kind of an entry kind of trap song as far as being like a hop and bop kind of one, getting some daps, some of that type of stuff. This kind of one where you're a little bit more ghoulish and spastic as far as that's kind of concerned. It's a good vanilla trap song to kind of have. Definitely like this one. Another one that kind of is like a cantankerous kind of one is Adrift. I like that JJ Demon is kind of devious on this album. There's definitely some mischievous and kind of like cantankerous kind of songs on here, and Adrift and Knee Deep are those ones that do that. But Adrift is kind of a good late game and entry kind of track, I would say. It's a dap song and kind of shenanigans track, I would definitely kind of say. And it just kind of has like this freakish kind of nursery, and it just kind of has this freakish nursery like beat on there. Just really works pretty well. It's pretty similar to Punch a Nazi in the Face and Knee Deep. Definitely the same kind of bop as far as that kind of goes. This vanilla trap as far as that's kind of concerned, but this works. This real, and it's really kind of freakish nursery type beat that just works extremely well. So that's a nice one. Knee Deep is another cantankerous one. Knee Deep is a cantankerous and devious haunting piano gem of a song. It's freakish and ghoulish. Its freakish and ghoulish sound works really well. So this is just kind of one. This is one of the better produced songs on here. I definitely like this one. This has a real kind of haunting one. This feels like something King Gordy or Bizarre or Hobson would do, something like that. It's really kind of a shrill one. This is just a perfect album for October and September and that type of stuff. So this is definitely one to pick up. I would definitely try to find this on CD. It just works extremely well. Another good one on here is Death Race. Death Race is definitely kind of a dope stunt song. This is a Liddy step out and flex type cut. I would say it's a regular stunt. It's a regular stunt kind of night, I would say, and it has pizzazz about it. So this is just kind of a good bop for just flexing a little bit and having a flashier time. Definitely a great song for a vehicle and that type of stuff. Just an overall nice one to kind of have. This is definitely kind of vintage vehicle trap, vanilla vehicle trap, I would say, as far as that kind of goes. Just a real flashy one. And then Panic Button. And then Panic Button, I don't know if I talked about this one. This is kind of a more manic trap gem, I would say. It's a lively and shrill type beat. It's a lively and shrill type beat, but it's also a regular sounding night cut, I would say, and it's pretty dope. I just definitely like this one. It's just kind of like another typical kind of vanilla trap type one, but it just works in like a sense of being like a night cut, just in a real shrill and kind of manic kind of sense. So this is definitely one that, just like the song says, Panic Button, it's just kind of more manic and kind of more lively and kind of tittering kind of one that just works pretty damn well. It's just kind of a good jittery song that I definitely liked. And then English Lit. And English Lit is definitely a craze type one. This is a Drury NF type bop. I would say it's a loud ruminating rumbler. I would definitely say, and it's a good lyrical smoke a few tracks. So this is definitely one, if you like NF and you like NF's trap as to how he gets with ruminating, kind of getting loud and noisy as far as that's kind of concerned and rowdy. This is definitely one that's very similar to NF. Just works in that same kind of Drury but kind of noisy sort of sense. It's an overall rowdy one that just works pretty damn well. It's just a good ruminating and kind of it's a ruminating bop, but it's also one to kind of just be brewing and musing as far as that's kind of concerned, smoking a little bit and just being a little bit more kind of cantankerous as far as that's kind of concerned. Just a good one for that kind of concept. So these are all some excellent ones on here. Me liking 9 songs out of 11. This album's obviously going to get a 10 out of 10. I definitely recommend finding this project. It's very low key. Not sure how many tons of folks really know about this project, but it's just such a beautiful project. Has so many good things to say about it. Just an easy kind of classic. Wasn't expecting JJ Demon. Not to say like I was downplaying him or something like that, but I do think that this is a complete surprise that just really kicked ass. I really appreciate this concept. It gets a 10 out of 10. The social score, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. Despite the quality of this album, the fact that I can't figure out the single on this project, and the fact that it's just kind of low key, and I don't know how many folks would give it a complete full blown whirl, and you'd be foolish not to, just because of how quality this project really is. It's definitely something to look into, but just because there's no singles, or at least I don't know the singles and how to really go about finding them, I would have to say it's just kind of more where it's underground in the sense that you just have to be a little bit deeper than a casual listener to really appreciate some of this, which is kind of the concept. Which I give it a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 10, but it's just kind of the concept that it's just kind of, I don't want to say it has a learning curve to listen to, but it's just maybe not like full blown. I just think just because there's not really singles that are all over the place and really noisy like the vibrating phone song that JJ Demon kind of had is about the only thing about it. But yeah, just to say in terms of the future, like JJ Demon dropped an album in 2023, so there is some more stuff to get to. There's an album in 2020 and 2021 that I'm going to get to, so I will review some more JJ Demon, but this is definitely an excellent piece of work here.